Well, it is the next morning. And I notice I got some little bubbles here. I'm hoping they're only on the surface and not all the way through. Maybe I should have taken the time to degas this. It'd be interesting to see how this is going to pull away from the wood. Looks like it will. Anyway, guess now is the time to see if we can get this apart. But first, let's see if I can get it out of here. Oh yeah. Hey, I get to reuse that. No, I actually have no intention of using this little piece. I just want to see how easy is it to cut this, I don't know what you call it, flashing? Oh yeah, that cuts pretty good. Well, if it cuts good with scissors, it'll probably also cut good with a utility knife. Just try it here. Oh yeah. Okay, now how well will this come off of bare wood? Will it peel off? Oh yeah. Well, that tells me that I should be able to get the thing out of the mold here. And I guess that's the next step. Okay, this side already is pretty good. Okay, now it's just going to want to come out. Try and hold it so you can see it. Forming a bit of a vacuum under there. See if I can break that vacuum. There we go. Oh, there. Nothing stuck to this. Okay, how about the other piece? I don't think there's any danger of ripping this. It seems extremely strong. You can see the bubbles in the bottom now. Now I'm glad I didn't have to break this little plexiglass mold here, because I think probably what I can do is I can maybe put this back in here when I want to use it, and then I've got sort of a little handle here for when I want to put it inside of my pressure tank. At least that's the plan right now. Well, I couldn't wait. I had to see if it'll fit, and if I cut these corners off, or trim it down, maybe even just square, then it'll fit. The other day I was watching a documentary, and it was probably about 15 years old. I'd seen it before. It was the one where James Cameron had gone down to the wreck of the Titanic for about the third or fourth time. Anyway, he had grouped together a bunch of nautical experts and historians and so on, and at the end of the documentary, Cameron said, "If you were Captain Smith, what would you have done if you knew everything that we now know? What would you have done?" And it was kind of interesting. Actually, Cameron had a brilliant idea. He says, "I probably could have saved everybody and their dog." Well, his idea was actually, excuse me, it was pretty smart. And he said, if I was Captain Smith, I would have sailed the Titanic over to the Californian, which was actually pretty close by. But they didn't know all this at the time. So where I'm going with this is, what would I do different now if I was to do this all over again? And I will be doing it again, but I'm not going to video it. And, well, this thing here, I don't know if you can see it or not, but the sides are kind of flared out just a little bit, a couple of degrees. But the ends aren't. I should have had the ends a couple of degrees flared out as well. And I would not have used this to try and put the catalyst into the measuring cup, because it was just too jerky, as you saw. And then afterwards I remembered I had this tiny little eyedropper. It's left over from when I used to fill my own ink cartridges on my printer. And I never actually used it, but it came with the kit. And I could just sort of have micro measured the catalyst in here and got it down to 1/10 of a gram quite easily. Anyway, that's what I'm going to be doing different. I'm kind of boring you here, I know. The next episode, I'm going to be cutting this piece of wood down, and I could start it right now in this episode, but I want this to be a standalone episode. I want to call it the pen from Rock Point. Now, some of you are probably thinking, well, I know the Rock Point he's talking about. He's talking about the one where he and his wife used to sit when they were in Kelowna. Nope, it's not that one. Anyway, yeah, I'm going to use this piece of wood, and I think that's pretty well it for this episode. And this stuff, by the way, I wish it was a little bit stiffer than it is, but it's strong enough that when I pour the solution in, the Alumilite, it's not going to go like this. That won't happen. But I wish it was just a little bit stiffer. But it will be quite easy to, break the hardened blank out, that's for sure. And that's the whole idea of this. That you can use it over and over and over again and just break it out. Oh, some of you are wondering how come it's not longer? Well, because usually I just do a single pen and I just want one at a time. So like I say, I'm going to be making more of these anyway. So yeah, I can't think of anything else that I would do differently. I will be using the Coroplast instead of plexiglass. Anyway, thanks for watching. You too, Jackson. Now, if you're a dog lover, and I am a dog lover, I got bad news for you, because it is my opinion they could not have saved all the dogs.